So let's talk about Kenya's booming digital economy. You've probably heard the story. It's all about innovation, flexibility, opportunity. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if, for the people actually powering this boom, it's a completely different story? We're going to dig into the reality of labor by algorithm. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. We all have this idea, right, that gig work is this cool, flexible side hustle, a way to make some extra money whenever you feel like it. But for the vast majority of workers in Kenya, that's just not true. The reality is, well, it's a lot more complicated and frankly a lot tougher. Wow. Just look at this number, almost 90%. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't a side gig. This isn't for fun money. For nearly everyone doing this work, this is their main job. This is how they pay rent, buy food, and support their families. We've got to stop thinking of this as pocket money. It's survival. Okay, so that begs the question, why are so many people diving headfirst into this world? And the answer is actually pretty simple, but incredibly powerful. For a huge slice of the population, especially for young Kenyans, the gig economy isn't really a choice. It's become a digital lifeline. And this chart, it shows you exactly why. Back in 2019, only about 18% of the entire workforce had what you'd call a formal, stable job. A staggering 83% were in the informal sector. And that massive gap, that's the space the gig economy just flooded into. It's not just a new option, it's replacing a huge chunk of the old job market. So how did this all happen so fast? Well, it was kind of like a perfect storm. You've got smartphones in pretty much everyone's hands, and the data to use them is cheap. Right at that same moment, the traditional starter jobs, the kind people used to rely on, are vanishing. And who steps into that void? Digital platforms, offering this shiny promise of be-your-own-boss self-employment. And this brings us to the fundamental problem, the real conflict at the heart of all of this. These platforms, they have all the control, all the power of a traditional employer, but somehow they've managed to dodge almost all of the responsibilities that are supposed to come with it. And this is the disconnect right here. On one hand, it feels like you're an employee. The platform tells you how much you'll earn, controls your working conditions, and can fire you or deactivate your account at any moment for any reason. But then you're treated like a contractor. You have to pay for everything, your fuel, your data, your insurance. There are no benefits, no job security. It's the ultimate mismatch. All the power for them, all the risk for you. So you have to be asking, how is this even legal? Well, the simple answer is that technology is moving way, way faster than the law. The rules that were written to protect workers, they were designed for a totally different world. And now this new digital workforce is just lost in a legal no man's land. Just think about Kenya's Employment Act. If you're officially an employee, you get some basic fundamental protections. Things like a minimum wage, paid leave when you're sick, contributions to Social Security, and you can't just be fired for no reason. You know, the absolute basics of a safety net. But here's the loophole. It's a huge one. Just by calling their workers independent contractors, these platforms can legally sidestep every single one of those protections. No minimum wage, no sick days, no Social Security, no right to form a union. The risk that used to belong to the multi-billion-dollar corporation is now entirely on the shoulders of the individual rider on the street. And get this, the situation is so confusing that over 60% of gig workers themselves don't even know if there are any rules in place to protect them. Think about that. They're trying to make a living in a system where they have no idea what their rights are, or if they even have any. They're completely in the dark. Okay, so things seem pretty grim, but it doesn't have to stay this way. The problems are really clear, and the good news is, so are the potential fixes. So let's talk about what it would actually take to build a digital safety net. There are 5 clear steps we can look at. This is basically a roadmap to a fairer system. Take that first one, a new category, a dependent contractor. This would give workers some essential rights without forcing them into a traditional employee box. Or look at number 5, algorithmic transparency. This is huge. It would mean platforms have to actually explain how they decide your pay or why they deactivate you. It means opening up the black box that controls these workers' lives. These aren't just minor adjustments, they're foundational changes. But here's the thing. This isn't just about what's fair. This has become an urgent, critical issue for Kenya's entire economy and its future. The country is really standing at a fork in the road, and the decision made right now is going to have massive consequences for years to come. So, what's making this so urgent? Well, for one, Kenya's debt crisis means there are fewer of those stable public sector jobs to go around. That traditional pathway to a secure middle-class life is getting narrower, and that's pushing even more people into the gig economy. And at the exact same time, you've got another wave coming. The rise of AI and automation is starting to eat away at even more of those entry-level jobs that have always been the first step on the career ladder. The very ground beneath the job market is shifting. And this is where the scale just becomes mind-boggling. We're talking about over 1 million Kenyans who now depend on these platforms for their income. When you have a group at large with absolutely no safety net, their personal insecurity quickly becomes a question of national stability. This is not a small, niche problem anymore. So, it all boils down to this one final critical question. The future is being built right now. So, will Kenya's leaders step up and engineer a system that actually creates digital empowerment? Or will they just stand by and watch as an entire generation slips into a new kind of digital entrapment? The choice they make will define the future.